Welcome to the Best of Success podcast show, coming to you live from the IRE 2025 floor in San Antonio. I'm your host, Brian Gottlieb, managing editor of Roofing Contractor Magazine, sitting in today for Jill Bloom. Today, we are honored to have with us the leadership team of Omnia Exterior Solutions, Chairman Jim Ziminski and CEO Jeff Kizilbash. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you guys for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, Brian, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Omnia made a strong early entry into the portfolio platform sector, and the growth has been exponential. You guys started in 2023 and currently operate across 13 states, from Maine to the Rocky Mountains. You have nearly a dozen brands within your portfolio. What strategies have proved most successful in fueling your swift ascent?
You know, Brian, I would tell you, first of all, this whole concept started at Best of Success just 2 short years ago. So that's where I met my partner, Mike, and this whole Omnia concept was conceived, if you will. But I would tell you, we had a very distinct and unique vision for what Omnia should be from day one. And part of that is, I think, my experience as a manufacturer for so many years and knowing so many of the other manufacturers intimately and well from those years, and also knowing the distribution well, and kind of listening to what was happening with private equity. And it struck me, there's something that's not happening. There's something not being played. You know, there's a blue ocean out there. And so we had a very unique vision, and that was basically, we wanted to find the subset of contractors in this industry that are what I would call curious. They want to learn from one another. They don't want to have a big ego match with one another. And so when we get them together, instead of, who's the biggest and the baddest, they want to learn and truly, help one another succeed. And conversely, they also want to help their people succeed. So it's more than about them, it's about their people. And so we felt like if we could put a group of folks like that together and then go to the distribution channel and the manufacturing channel and say, look, we want to do this differently. We want to partner with you. We don't want to be adversarial to you. And that's how we did it from day one. And so we were very, focused on who we were. We knew who we were from day one and who we wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to say here we are 2 years later, and we're living what we said we would do. We're not perfect. We have flaws, but it's been a great ascent. And really, it's great to have the concept, but you have to have someone like Jeff to deliver on it. Jeff, we were fortunate to find him to come in as our CEO and really lead this group. And so it's just easy to tell people who we are, what we're about. And if it fits for them, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. But then it's easy for me to say, talk to our members and ask them how the process has been. What's it like being a member of Omnia? And what's it like working with Jeff? And when they talk to the members, and the members are like, it's everything we thought it would be and better. What else could you want? It's perfect.
Well, that actually leads me into my next question. Maintaining a cohesive company culture across a diverse platform of multiple brands has to be a Herculean task. How do you ensure that the values of collaboration and continuous improvement are upheld throughout all of Omnia's various brands?
Well, I'm going to let Jeff answer most of that, but I would tell you, if you start with folks who are curious, whose natural instinct is to work together and lean in, I seek to understand, I don't seek to be, tell you my way, then you're at a really good spot to start. But then it comes down to, okay, how do you work with these guys and gals? Because they've just got a lot of money and now they got to work together. And, I like to hunt and be outdoors. And it's funny, I always hear guys talk about, man, if I'm ever charged by a bear, here's what I would do. And the truth is, you never know until that happens. You might panic, you might not, you just don't know. And until you get all this money, you can think you know what you're going to do, but you don't really know. So we start with a good spot, and then Jeff takes over and makes sure they're collaborating.
Well, at a minimum, I know if I'm going out and there's a bear, I'm going to have you by my side. So Jeff, how do you ensure that that ethos translates across?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously it starts with what Jim said, finding the right profile of the owners we want to bring into the organization, and then keeping them together. One thing Jim did not mention is he built from day one what he calls the Legacy Builders Council, and so that's all the former owners that have now come on the platform that stay together. We meet quarterly together. We get in one place and we talk about issues and opportunities and make sure we're prioritizing the right initiatives. So that's really good, right? Keeping them fully engaged. And then the second piece is, and we have miles of work left to do on this, but we try to do a really good job communicating our priorities and balancing what do we need to do to become more like, we call it One Omnia, to look more similar in our operations and processes, but leave that last mile distinction untouched the best we can, right? Because we bought these companies because they're great operators, they have great brands, they have great local cultures. So we're very cautious to stop sort of the integration work at a certain level, right? So we don't disrupt that, and we let them keep making the value propositions and promises to the customers and market they always have. Yeah.
Interesting. When you're evaluating prospective brands, firms to onboard, what key qualities or criteria do you prioritize to ensure alignment with Omnia's long-term goals?
Yeah, there's some basics. There's certain size that we want. We generally want companies that are over 20 million in revenue and maybe up to 100, but we're flexible a bit. But if someone's really small, we might say, hey, let us coach you up and let's talk in a year or something like that. So there's some criteria there. What's a bit unique about us is we didn't want all retail from day one like some businesses did, or all storm. We wanted a hybrid, because I saw from roofing contractor seminars and things, and also from ECA, some of the companies that were really growing were doing a lot of insurance work. There were others that were retail. There were some that were commercial. And so we kind of have a hybrid model. We have some guys that are pure retail. We have some guys that are pure insurance, some guys that do a little bit of commercial. And we actually have one company that's a storm chaser. They go around and chase storms and do sets with others. And the reason we partnered with them is I knew the guys, they were ethical guys, but also think about it, like we just partnered with a great company up in Maine, James and Whitney, awesome retailer. They don't know how to work a storm. So if a storm hits them, we send our storm SWAT team from Huff up there, and instead of them doing, maybe $1 million, they do $5 million in the storm, and we keep all the money and capture it all with Omnia. So I think being flexible with that, and like my partner Mike says, he's like, I don't always know in advance what we want, but I know it when I see it. So once we start talking to guys and truly find out, do they want to stay engaged? Do they want to be a part of something bigger? Do they care about their people being part of something bigger and making them wealthy as well? There's signs you can tell when you talk to someone that they fit really good, and there's also some signs that tell maybe they're not for us. They maybe should take a different path.
Jeff, since stepping into the role of CEO, what's been your primary focus, and how do you envision Omnia evolving as the roofing industry itself continues to evolve?
That's a great question. So first couple of years really have been focused on two primary things: is building out a team of people at our support center that can really help the acquired companies grow faster, right? So our strategy is one of like throw gas on the fire and let it burn brighter and stronger, versus like cost cutting and all that kind of stuff that does often happen in this space, right? So that's point one. So getting these teams the support they didn't have. As you build your own business, and we've seen this time and time again, there's decisions all these owner operators wanted to make over time. Like, do I really want to invest in that one more marketing channel or hire that one more person? Is it really going to really have the ROI? Well, now they don't have to wait for those things. We have those resources for them. So that's been priority one, is building out that team to help support them. Priority two, really, for me and the rest of the Omnia Support Center team has been building or acquiring tools and helping them integrate it so we can sort of measure our performance across the organization. As you can imagine, not only culturally are these businesses different, but they even define terms differently. They look at their sales funnels differently. And so, for us, obviously being an investor-led company, it's important that we have like quality, consistent reporting. So that's been a big part of the journey as well. And by no means done yet, Brian.
Right. Well, Jim, with a career that spans over 30 years, you've undoubtedly seen what works, what pinch points exist, and what central systems has Omnia developed beyond anything that Jeff has already shared,
Sure.
that can ensure, as you scale nationally, your success is guaranteed.
Well, it starts with the most basic, and that is everyone in Omnia that owns Omnia stock owns the exact same stock. They don't own local stock. They don't own Class B or C shares. They own the same shares I own, Jeff owns, the private equity group owns. Everybody is the same equal owner, different amounts, but the same owner. And then every company we acquire, we give performance shares out. So they give those shares to their key people. So we literally have over 200 investors in Omnia that are working for Omnia. So that takes away a pinch point, and that pinch point is people flee, right? The owner gets a bunch of money and everybody rolls. That's not what we're doing. Everybody wants to stay. We're very upfront and say, hey, we are going to have a turn, right, and sell to a larger private equity firm. But Jeff, in his role, has been working very hard, as he said, to build that team and to build the infrastructure of a CRM and ERP and all those things you need so that when we turn, all we do is have a different sponsor. It's still Jeff and his team. It's still me as the CEO, chairman of the board, and doing acquisitions. Everything's the same. We just get bigger with the same group of people and do it more. So I think that's critical, that everybody feels and truly is an owner in the business, And then, as Jeff was saying, like getting a centralized system like a CRM. All these guys love their CRM, right? None of them hate it. But when we educate them and say, look, if we want to have a successful turn and stay together, we got to have one. You can't have 10. And it'll be more lucrative for you if we have one. And here's why. We're always telling them the why. I think it's really important that people understand why you're doing things. And even if they don't agree, they understand it and they go, makes sense, I get it. And so we're very transparent about what our plan is, what we're trying to do. And I think it takes a lot of the pinch points away, because we have authentic conversations. We're authentic people. We like one another. And if we don't agree, we can at least seek to understand the other's point of view and then ultimately reach a consensus and move on.
Well, I like you both. Jeff, are there, two or, couple areas or initiatives within Omnia that you're particularly passionate about or could bring value to prospective contracting firms that you could highlight with us?
Absolutely. I mean, the big one that we're working on right now is the common CRM, right, for everyone. And it's funny, like, having done work like this throughout my career, every time you help enable a small business owner or a medium-sized business owner with new technology, there's the fear of the unknown. People don't inherently like change, right? You get comfortable with stuff. But on the other side of this journey, invariably every time the answer is, I know so much more about my business now than I ever knew before. Thank you. I hate you, it was painful, but thank you, right? And that's the journey we're on now. That is like the single most important thing. And then there are some, again, resources at the support center we've put to also help the sales teams, like sales recruiting, training, and all those kinds of things, also really, really key. And we're using some technology to help enable that too behind the people. So yeah, really excited for this year.
Well, good stuff, gentlemen. Thank you, Jim and Jeff, for sharing these insights into Omnia's success and future endeavors. It's been a pleasure having you both with us on today's Best of Success podcast show. And I'd like to thank the listeners for tuning in and staying connected with us, roofingcontractor.com. Until next time, I'm Brian Gottlieb. Thank you very much.